Welcome to our podcast. I'm Stacey Donadio,
And I'm Shannon Fasone from Turnkey Women.
where we're opening doors for women in business.
Cheers. Welcome back to the Turnkey Women podcast. We are here with a very new good friend, Ruma Mazumdar. Welcome.
Yay, thank you.
Thanks for coming. Wait, you came all the way down from
Union.
Braving the traffic. Thank God it was a Monday,
I know.
right?
Yeah.
So we fixed you a cocktail.
Yes.
Cheers. Thank
Cheers,
you.
girls.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Happy.
Cheers.
It's a Monday.
Happy Monday.
It's a great way to
Monday.
start a Monday. Well, it feels like summer outside, right? Because it's
Finally.
so warm out.
The weather finally got great.
Mm-hmm. And you came all the way down. You thought you were going to be late. You were right on time.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess how we always start is we really want to know, like, when we first go into it, how we met, like how we all connected. And once again, although this time it wasn't me who did it.
No.
I did not slide.
You didn't slide into DMs?
Nope.
So you were the DM slider?
No.
Marcia.
Yes.
Yes.
Mike Marcia. So let's just back up for a minute.
Right.
Ruma, what do you do?
Correct.
Okay, so I'm a real estate attorney here in New Jersey. I focus on residential and commercial closings all throughout New Jersey.
Nice. And from what I understand, you're mostly virtual?
Yes. My whole staff is remote. We do have a physical office space, but I really push a very virtual practice.
Was this pre or during COVID? Was it a baby of COVID? The whole remote? Because we were, for Smart Title, we were all remote prior to COVID happening. So for us, it was just seamless. When everybody was like trying to set up their home offices, we didn't have that problem. So was it something that came from that or?
So I was actually working at a law firm during the pandemic.
Interesting.
And then we went fully remote. And it's interesting because previously when I worked at a law firm, when I was working for my boss at that time, he never believed in like work from home. And we had myself and one of my friends, we were on the team, and we would always push like, hey, Josh, on Friday, we're going to work from home. And he'd be like, what are you girls doing? You can't just work from home. And we're like, we're going to work from
funny?
home.
And you did it?
And we did it because like
I love that.
our work is good. He wasn't like upset about it. And he was like, oh, okay, like things are getting done. Like I don't have to worry about it. So I've always loved working from home kind of setting. And then when I launched my practice, which was December 2021, that was in the midst of the pandemic.
Got it.
And the only way that it could be done was really remotely. Like, sure, we needed to have a physical space for the closings, but I didn't open at the height of the pandemic, which is when everyone was like actually fully pushing remote closings.
When we were
or
doing
only
closings in parking
lots. Yeah. So like I missed that whole
Drive-through.
phase.
Such a good time to be
We made it though. We're alive.
It was so weird.
It taught us so much, though. Like that we can.
You can do it.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So seeing all of that, I was like, you know what? I want to be remote and I want to be paperless. And so here we are.
How does that work for an attorney? You can be paperless? I never even have really thought about it until you just said it. Like for me, I'm paperless. You're paperless. Well, no, you're really not. You have all
My boss
paper.
would love to be paperless, but by law, we have to keep files for, I think, 7 years. Is that a title company's responsibility or something
It was like
that?
6 or 7. And
So-
for us, we just keep it in our dot list.
Yeah,
Like
but when we do
electronic file.
closings, we do the scanned
versions. of everything.
versions and email to people. And I will tell you, there are a lot of people that are like, do you think you could get me a hard copy? So, like, that's my boss's face. He's like, why?
Yeah.
Like, what?
I would have closers like come to my office and be like, don't you want a copy of the Alta? And I was like, no, I'll take a scan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take the scan later.
That's how my boss feels, and he's always felt that way. And a lot of people, I think it's like that old school.
Yeah.
You have to have the pen and paper, the blue ink. We all know the blue ink is a real estate
Right.
thing.
Oh, totally. I've
Yeah.
had so many closings just in the past year where we're going like in attorney review and it's coming like they're physically inking up the paper.
That's so crazy.
I
I do
know.
everything electronically.
I know. You
Even my
should.
markup, DocuSign.
Yes.
all of
And
that.
you can put that in red ink. I mean, it's amazing.
It's amazing.
Click,
And
click.
it's instant.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can be anywhere.
Exactly.
So how does your process work? Like when somebody wants to work with an attorney who has such versatility in scheduling, I mean, I'm sure that's accommodating for so many buyers who are God knows where and have to be at work. And, you know, it's tough when they're trying to accommodate a 9 to 5 when they're also a 9 to 5.
Yeah. So we typically will set up, someone will send in a referral or the the potential client will make contact with my office. They'll call in. I do have a receptionist, so someone still answers the phone and has a nice personable conversation with you and does intake and makes you feel nice and warm.
That's good.
And then
Also rare.
Right.
and then we let them know that, you can set up like a 15-minute free consultation with me, as long as you give us all the information that you need, because then I figure out if the client is willing to follow my process.
Okay.
A lot of people will just be like, no, I just want to know the fee. I just want to know the fee. Some people will be like, nope, I don't want to talk to an assistant. I want to talk straight to the attorney. And so I've weeded out people that way too, just being like, I have a process, respect the process, and then you'll get through.
You can't have me all the time.
And you shouldn't have me all the time.
That's why I have a paralegal.
If you
Who are
have
very
me,
capable.
exactly. And if you have me all the time, that means like something is very, very wrong with your transaction.
Yes. That is, yes.
So if your attorney's really working hard on it, that means like either they don't know how to delegate or something is super wrong with your transaction.
Yes.
One of those two.
Yes. So I think the thing I find most fascinating about your practice is that you are virtual. So that I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, that must just like free you up to work all over New Jersey.
Yes.
Right? Because
Yeah.
you don't have to, like, I know typically, like, we work with a couple of attorneys in Monmouth County, and, like, I'm not going to refer somebody that's looking to buy in Middletown to
Tom's River.
Right. Or
Yeah.
to even, like, Marlboro, because that's
It's
a
far.
30-minute drive.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's really great for you. So where do your closings usually happen? Like, are they happening in title offices? Is it the real estate office? And
Yeah.
then you just kind of like Skype in, or not Skype, I'm dating myself.
Wow, Skype.
Zoom in. I know. I'm old. I'm an old lady.
Yeah. I'll zoom in. It's honestly like most people haven't even asked me to zoom in. I'll just I'll call in, or the closer will call me from the table. And then I'll just say, hey, these are going to be the docs that you're signing. I'm happy to stay on the line while you sign everything, or you can just call me as questions come up.
Right.
Yeah. And I block out, that 30 minutes in my day to just be available.
How many closings do you have a day?
It varies,
Yeah.
but I probably...
I hear you're very busy. I mean, it's very impressive, the volume that you're doing.
Yeah, it's busy. It's busy. I think so far, like last month we did 28 closings.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It is
That's like
amazing.
not, like I find most real estate attorneys, it's like their add-on.
Right. I was
I
just
do
about to
family
say,
law
yeah.
and this. I do estate planning
Estate.
and this. It's like,
Yeah. And you can tell when it's an add-on because it's just not as seamless as
Yes.
someone who actually focuses on real estate.
so what made you want to focus on real estate?
So opening my whole law firm and everything was a total accident. Like none of this was planned.
I love that.
I was like in the height of the pandemic, my mom, she's also a mortgage broker. And I told Mike this. So
How did he
full
take it?
disclosure. He's like, damn. And I was like, but you guys are in very different areas.
Right.
And you
Areas.
also are much younger than my parents who have been doing it.
Right.
And they have a certain clientele that they work with.
Okay.
And so there's no like competition here.
Different world.
Yeah, totally different worlds. I'm like, you probably work with the clients the same way that I do. And I actually only, like, I don't rely on my parents for business anymore. I did in the beginning to give me that runway to
Of
start
course.
everything up. But now really like my parents' own clients self-select out of hiring me because, they're a little bit more budget conscious. So, yeah. But anyways, my mom was basically just like, I'm ready to retire from the mortgage business. And she was like, do you want to take it over? And I was like, wow, I'm so flattered. And I would like love to do that, except I'm an attorney. And I don't know the first thing about selling a mortgage.
Right.
And nor do I want to learn.
And you're not a salesperson. It's a totally different.
Well, I'm still a salesperson.
You are. But I feel like you're selling something that's different. Like you're selling yourself
Yes.
and your expertise.
Right. I'm not selling a product.
Correct.
Yeah, exactly. So it is different in that way. But I also was just like, I'm not ready to give up my license. I'm like 4 years into practicing. And I was at the height of my career too. I had just come back from a trial in Panama City, Panama. And my boss was like, trials like this only come around like once or twice in your lifetime.
Wow.
And I was like, oh my God, I've peaked like 4 years into practice. Now what? Now? What am I going to
Shit,
do?
where do I go from here?
Where do I go?
How did you end up in Panama City?
Wait, rewind.
Yeah, that's
I need
crazy.
to know this.
So the contract, so we had a dispute.
Property dispute?
It was a kind of a property dispute. It was a hotel management dispute, and the hotel was located in Panama City, Panama. So
Okay.
the contract,
But U.S. based.
The manager was U.S. based. The property was located in Panama City, Panama.
Okay.
The owner was also local to Panama City, Panama. But the contract always governs where disputes take place.
Okay.
And so the court of law was Panama City, Panama.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been awesome.
It was awesome. It was awesome. It was the best week of my life.
That's really, really cool.
We did 72 hours of trial. And
In
then
Panama City.
In Panama City, yeah.
That's
Well,
crazy.
we were supposed to have 5 days, but so we had a tribunal, which is a 3-panel judges.
Okay.
A panel of 3 judges. And the main guy, he got news that his father passed away. And so he had to go back to Germany. And so we were all like, what are the chances? We've all been prepping 6 months for this trial, and now we have to go from what would have been a 5-day trial. He was like, "I need this done in 48 hours.
Wow.
Can you do it? Can you make your arguments in 48 hours?" And we're like, "We have no choice. We have to appease the main tribunal member. Of course, we can do it in 48 hours."
The tribunal. It sounds so like dancing around a fire.
So we did that, but yeah. So then we ended up. It was a great trial. It was awesome.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, and so when my boss made that comment, and then just a couple of months later, my mom was just kind of like, "What do you want to do with your life?" And I was like, "You're right. What do I want to do with my life?" She's like, "Don't you want to have freedom and travel?
Yeah.
You've never taken a day off in your life since you started practicing law." I was like, "I've taken a day off." She's like, "Not without your laptop." And I was like, "You're not wrong."
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, fine. Let's talk about maybe potentially taking over the business. And so I started working with her a little bit, and I was like, no, I can't do it. And she's like, why don't you just start your own practice? I was like, oh,
Because it's that easy.
just like that. She's like, yeah, you could do it. Why not? Just start your own practice. And I was like, are you insane?
I love your mom. I want to meet
Me
her.
too. She's
Oh
a
my
riot.
God.
You could have met her on Saturday night.
Next time.
Next time.
Yeah,
time.
let's get drinks with mom.
Yeah, we will. She met everyone, and everyone's like, oh my God, your mom is so cool. I'm like, that's where I get it from.
It's amazing.
I love that.
So now you're immersed in this wonderful,
Real estate world.
yeah. So freeing of time.
Basically, I started with my MacBook, some Wi-Fi. I had a business plan in my head, and my parents started feeding me clients. And that's basically how I learned. And I had this older gentleman. He's almost retired, but he took me under his wing and was just overseeing my little riders and making sure that I wasn't going crazy. And then after I did maybe 13, 14 transactions, I was like, all right, I think I got this.
You got it. Yeah.
So
yeah, you're a smart girl.
so then so I was like, I guess this is what I'm doing. And then I launched. Pretty much I launched December. So I quit my job August 2021.
Okay.
And I started, I worked part-time because I was also burnt out from working so much. So I was like, I'll just slow roll this and learn the ropes and then I'll launch. So I worked on my website, I worked on my branding. I came up with Key Esquire.
I love that. Obviously, we're turnkey.
Yeah.
Right?
Fits right in.
Yeah. And then once my website was ready and my social media and everything was ready, I did this launch. And 3 months later, I found myself overwhelmed in work. I couldn't even keep up with the files that were coming in, and I had to hire my first paralegal. And I was like, "What do I do?" And
Is it scary?
Oh yeah. And
Yeah.
I was in these Facebook groups with other solo practitioners, and I was looking at what kind of resources they used. And so everyone uses staffing companies, and staffing companies
Oh, really?
are remote employees. So I was like, all right, so my first employee is going to be remote, which is great because all of my systems that I had chosen is all remote.
Right.
The phone is VoIP, the case management software, everything's in the cloud. So
Are your paras local or are they they're all over? How do you, that would drive me crazy.
yeah, it's great though.
It is great. But see, I'm a psycho.
Yeah, it's great though.
I want to be I want to see you and check in on you.
I want to sit in my bed. And
I know
see
you
bed.
do, and I have to be in the office. We're polar opposite.
That's so funny. No, we do
Polar
a
opposite.
lot of conference calls. Believe it or not, the first paralegal I hired, she's still with me.
Okay. Oh, that's
And-
impressive.
Yeah, and she's a rock star. And
Okay.
she's totally on board and invested in the growth of the business.
That's
and is a
huge.
total ambassador and just makes things happen. We've had so much turnover in the next person that we tried to hire. Well, no, we got our receptionist. She's been great. She's been with us for over a year or two. She's also super invested. And then it was that second paralegal role that we've been trying to fill, and you just can't find people that want to work.
That is a problem.
Yeah.
It is a problem.
Especially like high volume too. Like my practice is so high volume. We have 1 million deadlines. We work with 1 million personalities. And I always have to like ebb and flow with my networking because like when I go out and like develop business, like it ends up coming in. And then I'm like, okay, I got to stop because like now we're fully overwhelmed.
Yeah. Now you've taken on too much.
Yeah.
Which brings us to our next question. So you primarily you started off with your parents, but you would say you go out and like hunt for your own business through networking. Mm-hmm. And what do you think attracts people to working with you?
I think it's just I'm like real and personable. You know, even though I'm an attorney, I'm still very approachable, I would say. And I'm younger, right? So like you can depend on me to like work the millennial way, which is, you know, being responsive, being available.
No phone calls.
Just text me. Text me, okay?
I mean, what's wrong with that? Why can't we live in that world?
I know. I'm all about the text, but sometimes you need a phone call.
Yeah.
Especially in real estate. Like it used to drive. So I started as an assistant to a paralegal. Well, that's not true. In post closing in the mortgages, but when I went to title side, it was an assistant, and that's a hustle. That's a really intense position to be in. The paralegal, the settlement office, like whatever that looks like. Every file is different.
Yep.
There's these undiscovered little gems of real estate that just show their nasty little moldy faces. And you have to kind of like figure it out sometimes and like relate to, like, you have to pivot a lot. There's a lot of pivoting.
So much.
And getting to know a business that is never the same is
that's the fun of it. It's never the same.
Is that what keeps you in it? What keeps you in real estate specific? I feel like we have to be a little off, girls, to deal with real estate.
I think we're unicorns for sure.
Unicorns.
Yeah.
Unicorns.
So we have criteria, which I know you met with Mike Mercia from Advisors.
Vibe check. Got to pass
the vibe check, and he was so excited. I couldn't come to happy hour that night, which then turned into like happy hours. Hours. And I got
2 rounds of apps. We got like 2 rounds of apps.
They were so good.
He was so excited. She was so excited. I was so pissed I missed it.
But we're doing it again tonight.
But it's true. Like Shannon and I, and Mike also, like Mike and I started in the industry right at the same time. I think he had like 3 more months in, and I had called him because we were on the same transaction with mutual friends, and he was not pretending. He was like, he was like, yeah, I got this. And we were both like, yeah, we got this. We didn't fucking have it.
Yeah.
We had nothing. Like,
beginning.
We were just like going back and like Googling everything. We were just like really just at the beginning. So I feel like we kind of grew up in the business together.
Yeah.
And then we met Shannon, but it's become like a philosophy for all of us that we only want to work with people we want to work with.
Yes.
Like we don't want to whore ourselves out to anybody in the industry just for the sake of referrals or anything. Like we just want
for business.
We just want to do business with people that we would want to hang out with and that we would invite to our family parties and out to dinner, and that we want to introduce to our moms and our kids. Like, but really, like I think that's what makes our industry so special, is that we can do that. Not a lot of people do that.
Yeah.
But I think that's why we all pass the vibe check.
I agree.
Right?
I can't not at this point.
Yeah.
And it's because I think that the shared value is like really pushing each other and each other's businesses for all the right reasons, right? We say this all the time. Jess said it on our show. She's one of our turnkey women. Your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So like if you're going to work and focus all this energy and time into something and people, having this reciprocal relationship that is enjoyable. Like her husband came to one of our lunches and he's like, this is what you call fucking work?
Yeah.
It was a fun lunch.
And I was like, well, sometimes.
Porta and Asbury?
Right.
But we're bonding. He doesn't understand.
It's relationships.
And partners
Yes.
don't understand. and they won't unless like they're in
Unless
it
they're
too,
Yes,
you know?
yes.
or
Like,
they
Correct.
want to be home alone, which I lean into.
yeah.
So does my husband.
Stay
But
home.
Mike's wife, Nicole, she's literally his partner in the
Yeah.
office,
Right.
but she gets it. Like
Yeah.
she's the same way as us. She's like, I don't want to hang out with people I don't like.
No, it's
What-
hard to do.
Yeah.
Mike said it best. He goes, "Is it relationship driven or is it transactional? You know,
Mm-hmm.
like where is the flow of business and how do you want your? And you don't have to have it always be relationship driven. There's a ton of times it's transactional.
I work
and
with
it's
people I
fine.
can't stand all the time.
Right.
But that's why you need people that you can stand to like keep
Yes.
you grounded and remind you
Yes.
like why you do this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like get to the other side of this shit show of a transaction because you've got another one with somebody that
Yes.
you're going to go out to lunch with after.
Right.
And
Yes,
celebrate.
and even be
Exactly.
your sounding board. Like
Yeah.
nobody, like I don't even complain to my husband anymore about work because he doesn't understand.
Yeah.
He's not in this. He's nowhere near this field of work, so he's not going to get it. And I don't want to bore him to tears.
Right.
And he'll just be like, "Oh, it's like when he talks about work," and I'm like, "Like I."
She told me, she goes, I have to tell myself, act like you're listening.
Act like you're listening.
Act
I mean,
like
because
you're
I mean,
listening.
it's like when my kids come home from school and they're going on and on and on and on and on and on and on about music class, and I'm like, oh my god, when is it gonna end? Please stop. So tell us, what's your most favorite part of this journey that you're on in real estate, and then what is your biggest obstacle?
What's my favorite part? I would say definitely all of the people I get to meet. I feel like my whole friend circle has changed so much, and
So true.
it's so funny, like when I was planning my birthday party, I made a list of like my closest friends based on like basically how long I've known them. And like nothing against them, but like I've also changed a lot since I've become a business owner, running my own business. Like my life is so different from so many people in my age range too, who are married with kids or who have corporate jobs. It's like really hard to relate.
Yeah.
And when you meet someone in our industry, they just get it.
Yes.
You know? And so like when I planned out this, what I thought I wanted was like a nice little intimate birthday dinner, I made this list and I was like, I'm going to be so bored. Like I'm going to miss all of my friends who I just like
Who you
made.
love spending time with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even people who I just met like 6 months ago or like
Yep.
30 days ago, right?
Yeah.
Like I invited you guys.
She
after our
did. And I
dinner.
was like, shit.
you know, because like
That I really wanted
the
to go.
connections are just like so real and so instant and it's just so
Because we
nice.
all share shared trauma.
It's a whole new trauma.
It's a
I was
trauma
like,
bond.
Oh, I worked out my childhood trauma, and now here I am in real estate.
Yeah, piling it on. No one can understand.
Yeah,
But you're only going to open up to the people who you want to understand, right?
Yeah.
You know, like we could have sat at that happy hour and been like, it was nice to meet you.
and we didn't just talk about real estate. Like, we
No.
talked about life.
We got
talked about
deep.
everything.
We got deep.
Yeah.
And that's what we always say is like working with women, the right women, not just any woman, but like the right women who you know immediately when a woman wants you to do well. Like your instincts are like, this chick is here for pushing this or doing that without feeling bad about it. Like,
Yeah.
why can't we want to be successful and meet cool people that
Right.
want the same thing?
Exactly.
It's not that hard. And when you put that out there and you focus it, they're just right in front of you.
Like crazy.
You just show up.
Literally.
Just show up. We never talk. Do we ever plan out who's going to sit in the seat?
No.
Literally, it's just like the universe presents the person
I love it.
who should be sitting in the seat.
Yep.
It's so weird. Like all of a sudden, I'll be like, and just we won't even talk about it. One of us will send a text in a group text, right? I didn't even tell
I
her.
want so and so on the podcast. She's
Yeah.
like, fine. I'm like, okay.
Okay.
But it always makes sense as to the why and the who, and I think the when is like the coolest part about
Yes.
it, right?
And it
Like,
always leads to like the next step,
yeah.
Yeah.
right? I'm having another hot flash.
She has.
I have like a million a day.
Dude.
Did these change color with the cold?
So they're yes.
Because they're really cool.
Oh, I'm glad you guys
Yeah,
like them.
I really do.
Super cute.
Right?
Keeping it.
That's your keepsake.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah,
I was going to take it
She's like,
anyway.
fine.
I have a T-shirt for you, but I left the house A without the check for you, and B
that's
without
fine.
the T-shirt for you. So I have it,
Got it.
but I have to sneak out so my kid doesn't see me, or he'll go ape shit on, and I'll just be like, I don't see him. So I owe you a T-shirt, but I have it.
Great.
But this, my dear, you could totally.
And this is delicious. What flavor did you have?
Watermelon.
Watermelon. The raspberry is delish.
I had
I'm
strawberry.
into it.
I was thinking like it was nice out today. They had some like wintry options, and I was like, I love a good White Russian,
It's
but
summer.
let's get into the spirit
Sort
of
of.
summer.
It's summer right here, right now.
What are you doing for Memorial Day?
What am I doing? So my Friday, I have like 7 tentative closings. So nothing on Friday night.
Oh,
Damn. Don't you hate Friday closings? Because the funding? I hate them too. Unless they're like before noon. Then I'm like, okay.
Imagine me trying to stack 7 closings
No,
before noon.
F that. Like, it's like, it makes me crazy. We had my first ever Friday closing that went sideways. We didn't have funding until Tuesday. And
Friday? You didn't get funded till
Tuesday. And not only could
Were
we
they
not
living
cash
in
our
the
checks, but
house?
yes, it was such a fuck fest. It was terrible. Like, everyone had gotten the keys. I forget the title company, but even if I could remember,
That wasn't us.
I wouldn't name them. It was not Smart
It's
Title.
not us.
It's not.
And
Let me be very clear.
they handed off, and I was there. The attorneys weren't there. We closed in the property, and they handed out the keys to and I was like, and it was a double closing, so it was like,
Of course.
it was.
Yeah.
She had to sell in order to buy this
Right.
condo.
And
Nothing
that was
funded.
the one that didn't get
Everyone moved into, and I was like, oh my God, we're all going to jail. That's all I could think.
funded. I just think
We're all
liability.
going to prison.
Don't you automatically go to liability? Like, that's where my brain goes to.
Luckily, it was fine. But anyway, sorry, I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to
when
sidetrack you.
You were saying like people close out the property. Like I think that's just insane.
I
It
wouldn't
is.
do that, ever.
It is insane.
Who is the right, like, what if something happened in that moment of halfway through the closing package?
It was during
Who's the
COVID,
owner?
but it doesn't matter.
It's great.
It was crazy.
Yeah. No, I've had people who are like, no, I want to close at the property, and I'm like, that's just like a really bad idea. And like, here's my waiver form.
Yeah, it's a very
You
bad
have to.
idea.
You have to. I don't understand a title company that would agree to that.
You know,
Well.
some people, it's just just doing what they need to do, I guess, to keep certain relationships.
Yep. But no attorneys called. It was crazy. I was calling the attorney, and I'm like, I don't think that we should, but
They did. And here we are to tell the tale. There's so many of those stories in real
Yep.
estate. It still
Wild.
is. Like, I was in real estate a long time ago and got out of it for a decade. And when I came back into it, as much as there's so much more regulated now, I mean, forms and regulations, it's still a wild west of an industry. It's still a street corner game.
Yeah.
You still have to be just as book smart as you are street smart to understand, like, who's snowing you, who's trying to take you, who's trying to push you to do things that I don't really have to do that in order for this to happen. And like, you start to set your boundaries.
Oh yeah, I had to learn that very quickly, especially like being young and looking also younger than I actually am. Everyone's like, "Oh, you just like graduated law school," and I was always just like, "No, I've been doing this for a while, and actually, I could rip your head off in court."
Who did you find would say that to you the most?
It was a lot of older attorneys,
Right.
Yeah,
Guys.
who just like
Men.
should not be practicing.
Right. They should be
anymore.
out. They should understand that, like, it's 2024.
Yeah.
Look
Yeah.
at us. We're out of the kitchen. Ooh, let us out. It's like,
The best ones
she's
are like,
Mary and Joseph.
I've been doing this for 30 years and I've never been asked this question. And I'm
oh,
like,
whatever.
well, so do you have an answer? though? Like,
Right.
do you have an answer? There's no answer though, but like you've never been asked it, like so you've never
Every
thought
time
about
someone
it.
starts a sentence with that, it's because they don't.
They feel attacked.
Yes.
And probably, like, how dare you? This young girl questioning me. I've been doing this for 30 years.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't work that
It
way
doesn't.
just because you said so.
Right.
Well, you had that issue, you said. We talked about this at the first time we hung out, that there was an older attorney, a male, who was like, okay, sweetheart, like really just like doing that whole number. And you were like, so we're going to talk about this.
Yeah. No,
Right?
so we were on the phone and he was just like, I've never been asked this question in my 30 years of practice, blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, are you just like, you just answer it for me. And then he started calling me sweetheart and hun and all this stuff. And
I hate that.
And I was literally just like, Mr. So-and-so, when you're done being condescending, let's have a professional conversation as attorneys in this world.
Yeah.
And how did he respond to that energy? Was it like,
And he was definitely taken aback. And he was like, well, I've got to go. So we didn't talk.
Oh, wow.
And-
You really shook him.
And then I will give him some props though, because he called back the next morning. And I didn't answer, but he left a voicemail just being like, I really thought about how things happened yesterday, and I really do apologize. I didn't mean to come off condescending, and I would like to have a professional conversation. And I was like, okay, great. Now I can call
I
you
love
back.
that. I love that.
I'm okay with that.
Sometimes, you know what? It's like with anything, like me saying Skype, right? Like you kind of get caught in the old way or in your habits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of, like, I'm a Gen Xer. I think a lot of, like, boomers and even older Gen Xers, because I, like, slid right in there. Like, it's 1979.
Me
Like,
too.
we were, like, sliding underneath the door that was closing on
Yeah.
Gen X. I think that, like, you do have to remind them that, like, it's 2024. And, like, we're here now. And I hear my mom all the time, Bernie, I'm sorry, but like she was bitching about the millennials, and now she's bitching about Gen Z. But then I hear myself, and I'm like, Gen Z.
I just started taking a page out of Gen Z's book. I'm like, it's 5:00. I've got to
I
go
gotta
for
go.
my wellness treatment now.
They're really like,
I love it. I'm here for it.
I'm here for it too.
Yes.
I'm like, you set those boundaries. Teach me how.
Yes. And like let's pass that down.
Yeah.
Because the boundaries need to happen. Like working yourself to death. Not you probably too. You don't set the boundaries. You can't.
Oh, I set the boundaries. What do you
Do
mean?
you 28 transactions in 1 month?
Yeah.
So what's your typical day?
When do you start?
This is good. We have 9 minutes left. This is a good way to wrap it up. What is your typical day like?
I only work 9 to 5.
Okay.
That's it.
I love it.
I set that boundary, but it's all about my systems and my process, right?
Okay.
Doesn't mean my paralegal hasn't, like, she needs to set a boundary. She hasn't set a boundary.
Okay. So she's fielding calls like...
She doesn't field calls, but,
Okay.
like, she'll take time off, spend time with, like, her family, her son, like, do dinner and everything. And then she likes to log back in. And
I'm
just,
that
like,
way too. It just
and
gives
just,
me
like,
peace of mind.
clean up the emails, right?
Okay.
But I was like, listen, I've delegated what I've wanted out, and I expect that to be done, right? I've hired you to do the job, and you get it done. I don't micromanage you, but, like, you know what tasks you have, and they should get done.
Yeah.
And, of course, like, I reward them, too. I'm not, like, a crazy person.
Right.
But I was like, for me, I'm like, I only want to work 9 to 5 because that's what makes me a better leader, a better attorney, and a better, like, salesperson, too. So I stay within that. And then, people will text me. Like, very few people now will text me after hours also because, like, they've come to realize that, like, everything will get taken care of.
Right.
Like, shoot me an
Nothing's that
email.
important.
Yeah. I'm like, when
Stacey tries to teach me that lesson.
when someone
every
texts
day.
me at, like, 8 o'clock about, like a contract, I'm
right.
like, is the house burning down?
Yeah.
I know. It's hard, though, because, like, you have, like, clients really... I don't know what they think's going to happen.
Yeah.
But they think something terrible is about to happen.
Yeah.
Like all the time. And they're like, but I've been calling her. Like I had a friend who's also a client over the weekend. She's like, have you heard back from Kevin yet? I'm like, it's Saturday. I don't anticipate hearing back from Kevin until Monday.
Yeah.
And probably not till about 11.
Yeah. But you know
quite
what it
honest.
is? You know what it is?
Don't get your hopes up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I also think, right, like, I think the consultations that I've set up with my clients, too, and how thorough I am in those
Yeah.
So
also
important.
make them feel very
You set
comfortable.
expectations,
It's
right?
everything.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
really is the biggest
So
deal in the
right
world.
in the beginning, it's
Yep.
like, attorney review will be with me. I'm going to hold your hand through the whole thing. Then I'm going to introduce you to my team. Just because you don't hear from me doesn't mean that I haven't consulted with my team on the back end.
Right.
But
And
like,
if you need me, I'm here.
Exactly.
And, right.
And you
Exactly.
respond. You're
Yeah.
not just leaving them to figure it out, or somebody else is just, getting back to them in a timely fashion
Yeah.
so they know their priority.
I love that.
Right?
I love that. I love the setting of boundaries.
I think that's totally feasible.
it is. I mean, that's
Obviously.
that's the only way I can do volume.
Yeah.
Otherwise, like, and the other thing is, like, I have business coaches, right? So, like, I've
You
learned.
do.
So I hired a coach 8 months into practicing. I pay them a ton of money, but it's like the best money I've spent because I've been able to go from, and now I'm doing this like 2.5 years. I've like doubled revenue, doubled business, and
I love this.
My
I
biggest
smell
obstacle-
a part 2 of the podcast. We're going to talk about your business coach.
My biggest obstacle is trying to get out of the day to day. I want to be out of the day to day so I can focus on growing the practice and business development because I love being a salesperson.
So, like, in your head, would you just be overseeing, like, 3
A
of
team.
you?
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I do love that.
Yeah.
Do you think if you did that, you'd have, like, a brick and mortar where people would come in, or would you still keep it virtual?
Still keep it virtual.
I love that.
Yeah,
I think this is, like, the new wave.
I think so.
And I'm sure the buyers are all. I would respond to that. You can keep
People
it
love it.
hyper local. You're still getting top tier real estate. So that's like, as a title salesperson, account executive. That is where I struggled so much with having a lot of attorneys to work with. Is my whole job is funneling business to you guys, right? So like, if I have all these attorneys that I can't even depend on for my own transactions, like how am I sending them business? So it was really hard to find it. And I switched everything and I was like, that's not how I want to operate. I want one, that it all goes this way, but they have to be on point. And it's sometimes hard when you're localizing that as your perimeter and you're then stuck in this location-based mentality of they're buying at Red Bank, they're going to want an attorney that's around Red Bank. But you're breaking that mold because you're located somewhere else, but still able to facilitate that with the title company, with the office, with whoever you're working with, and establishing relationships where it's just about signing papers.
Yeah. And, there's nuances county to county, town to town. But oftentimes it's, the real estate agent who is local and has to deal with the nuance.
Yes.
I just have to
No,
make
it's
sure.
perfect. And you don't meet the client typically until closing anyway.
Right.
Same thing with title.
If I go to the closing.
Right. And even lenders. Like right now, I have
The old
friends
way
that are
would
buying.
be an attorney typically wouldn't meet their clients until they got to the
But
closing.
I do video consults
So
now.
what difference?
So
they meet you immediately.
They see me right away.
And people are so conditioned now with the COVID world we lived in that like
Skype.
the rest of us Zoom, old lady. Where's your fan?
And you know what the funny thing is? I never Skyped in my life.
Right?
I haven't
Not
either.
once.
I don't think I have either. I love these cups, but they're really showing who's drinking the most.
It's me.
No, it's me. Put it up. It's me. Of all fucking people.
You probably put the least in yours.
No, I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
Well, now that we're at the end of our time with Ethan. Thank you, Ethan.
That was so quick.
I know, it was so quick.
I'm telling you, the right person who
Time
sits in
flies
that
here.
seat, because ever since we started going off of like who we were kind of just feeling, it's like
It's great.
Yeah, it zips by, and we're like, wow, we're done. Ethan, you want to stay for another hour?
I know he liked the Gen Z comment. He's like, keep talking about me.
Keep talking about me.
Talking about me.
Well, no, but I really do. I would love to have you back on and talk
Yeah.
about business coaching and how it's helped you.
Yeah.
And like, if you've changed your like, I think we can really do a whole nother
I love
segment
that.
about
Yeah.
that.
Thank you for coming on, Ruma.
Yes.
Thanks for
I'm
having
so
me.
excited
Give
that
us-
I met
so
you.
fun.
Give us your handle on Instagram and what other platforms you're on, your website, so everybody can start to follow you and check out all of she does a lot of videos that are super, super informative. So definitely tell us where you're at.
Cool. On Instagram, you can find me at Key Esquire. On Facebook, we're also Key Esquire. Website, keyesquire.com.
Love it. Keeping it simple.
Branded.
Love
check,
it, love
check,
it, love
check. Well, thank you for coming on. Thank you. I'm so happy. We're going to go out and celebrate a little more.
Yes.
And we'll have you back very soon.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, guys.